My name is Gaedan. I'm anti-Zionist. I'm from Haifa, born and raised.
Okay, who are Smol Haifa?
So, Smol Haifa is not really like a thing that it's easy to define. It started around 15 years ago. Way back, I wasn't around really. It started as like a delivery chain in the mail, like for updates about anti-Zionist events and protests. And as the technology moved forward, so does Smol Haifa, and then it became just like this general WhatsApp group for all anti-Zionists, but mostly Jews, because most of the updates were in Hebrew. Even though that a lot of the protests that were sent there, they were Palestinian organized protests. But people pretty much knew that it was like the place if you want to keep being updated in anti-Zionist things around Haifa. And like in the beginning of the genocide, there was a lot of uncertainty about what is our role and place in this whole mess. What can we do as Jews in Haifa during the genocide in Gaza, and during the persecutions of Palestinians in 48 territories, and also the ethnic cleansing in 67 territories. And so we started to meet up, not in a very organized way. Yeah, let's think together, like as a group of anti-Zionists, Jews, and I say it like that because every person you'll meet in Smol Haifa defines themselves very differently in terms of Judaism, and also in terms of anti-Zionism. In every person, it's something very, very different. I think that demographically, it's like in Haifa, it's a different story than in Al-Quds or Tel Aviv, because there's like a really history of Palestinian struggle here. So you see a lot of older folks coming to our protests. So the age is really, it's like people who can be like 80, and there are people who were like, I think the youngest that we had was like 15. So we started to like meet up, and like the Palestinians were very brutally silenced, and we decided like that we need to raise any voice against what's happening and against Zionism. After a few protests, like regular protests that were very brutally scattered by the police, with some injured, and it left people like really frightened for a lot of time. We decided to do what is called a skipping protest, which is like we stand in place for 5 minutes, and then if we see the police, like a hint of a police really just on our way, we are scattering by ourselves, and we meet up in a different place. And that's how we did for like 50 minutes. We did that until we decided that no, we want to really be present in the public. We really want people to not only know that the shadow of us, but to really see us, and to really hear us. So we began to do regular protests till pretty much now. Sometimes we raise Palestinian flags, sometimes we don't. It really depends on the atmosphere in the group. Like if we know that maybe some new people will come to our protest, then we probably will not raise the Palestinian flag, because it will always lead to very violent arrests. And why we are not calling ourselves like a group, or why aren't we really organizing under a name, any kind of name? It's a different topic that we discussed it a lot, and we realized that we don't need to aspire to be like a Jewish Hebrew organization. There are many of them. What we need to do as people from like the superior race is to lower our privileges, and like to support and to scatter and to be in Palestinian organizations by learning Arabic, by learning the Palestinian organization, but not to be closed within ourselves, within this Jewish organization, like this Jewish ghetto that we'll close ourselves in. So that's why we didn't come up with any kind of like a real organization, because it's a commitment, and it's pretty much admitting that we're not equal in a way. That's the story pretty much of Smol Haifa. What's the future of Smol Haifa? I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know what will be after the genocide. Maybe it will be like before that, and each one of us will be in our own thing. I don't know. But right now we're just like, we're building some sort of a community, I feel, of anti-Zionists, Jews or Hebrews, whatever you want to call it. But we will not call it an organization, because we're just not. Also, there's many differences, ideological differences, and it will be very hard to do organization with that many differences. In every public activity that we try to do, there will be problems with the law enforcement, and there will be always need for us to try to get away from it, around it somehow. In every protest that we've had since the beginning of the genocide, people were arrested. The police knows us. Some of us they know by their name, by their address. Not once, not twice, the police and sometimes the National Guard came to people's home to threat them or to arrest them. It sometimes feels like a chase of a cat and a mouse. Like they're the big scary cat, and we're just like trying to sneak around and to do what we want to do, which is to protest or to screen a movie like Gaza Fights for Freedom. I think that in a way, a lot of time you almost get used to it. Like in the 2 protests ago, like the police didn't came. We stood there for like 50 minutes, and the police didn't came like till the last minute. And I think it was because of the police just didn't do a very good job in monitoring our group that day. Because usually they're always waiting for us. They're ready to beat us up. You see that in their eyes. It's full of like this violent fire. You see that they're anticipating to hurt us, to threat us. They like it. It makes them feel strong. They're very sadistic. Like the violent arrest from the protest, it doesn't enough for them. So they keep beating you up even inside the police station, or they try to humiliate you. Like they'll tell you that you need to go to Gaza, or how are you not ashamed by yourself, and like things like that, which are like, how are they not tired from themselves? But for new people who aren't got used to that, I see why it's very traumatizing and scary. This entire ordeal of being arrested and then being humiliated. We try to publish our activities as much as possible on social media and through journalists that we know, like in Arab 42 or in like Haaretz or in Sicha Mekomit. Like we try like by that, but it's difficult, because if we'll go too much out of our way, we will be personally attacked like by fascists, and I don't only mean like by the police that will come to look for us. I mean like also like civilians that will try to threaten our life, or try to and say like things like you should have gotten raped on 7th of October, like things like that. And I'm speaking from personal experiences. But I think with success, like in our small platforms, with our with the very much harsh boundaries that surround us, I think that we succeed pretty well in bringing new people. I'm not sure if I'll be happy if my daughter will go to a protest of Smol Haifa because of its violent nature, of its scattering by the police. Most of the time, and I'm speaking on specifically Haifa, yeah, because it's very different in each district. Specific in Haifa, it's to catch and release, which is just like highlights you how much you just do that to show strength and to pretty much tire us or make us feel desperate in a way. Yeah, there was several times that they did press charges. A lot of times it was like in delay, like after a few weeks or months of the arrest. But because most of us are Jewish, they just catch and they release after a few hours to your home. But we have lawyers by our side, by several organizations, and we get by. Yeah, it's not easy. The police is always like on us. I know that they're monitoring our social medias, and I know that they see us and hear us, but we come around it. I'm not sure how many people you'll ask in Smol Haifa that will tell you that, but I don't think that actually the law enforcement is the biggest issue in Smol Haifa. I think the biggest issue in Smol Haifa is that because we're not an organization, a real organization, and because we don't have this paper full of like what's our ideology, so pretty much everybody can come in and out. Yeah, that's the issue, because a lot of time it's actually getting stuff stuck in the middle, things we want to do because of the nature of Smol Haifa. I think that's the real struggle, the struggle for Medin. The law enforcement, it's something you need to deal with, but it's not the struggle. The struggle is against Zionism in first, and then after that the law enforcement is like a side effect or something. They're Zionists. They're here for the Zionist state. They hate us. You can see it and hear it with everything they say. Like you can't write "Stop the War" on a T-shirt. It's bullshit, and second, you can see and hear that she says it because she hates us. She doesn't want us to be around, and she said it herself, by the way, that we can protest against our state, because in her eyes we're still Jews. Yeah, like we can be as much as anti-Zionist as we want, but we're still Jews, so we're still part of her state, our state, the Jewish state.
So, can you tell ways in which you felt isolated from general society?
Oh wow! You can write a book about that. All the time. Like, ask any anti-Zionist Hebrew, and they'll say pretty much that a lot of them. Not really the older generations, because I think that the older generations are more, or they're already found themselves, but like in the younger generation, in like my age, like 20s to like mid-30s, like it's really easy to like feel lost and alone and crazy, like you're the one who lost your mind. So like pretty much like in the university, I think it's the best example, because you're alone and you're not Palestinian, so it feels a lot of time weird to go and sit with the Palestinians, but you certainly don't feel a part of the Jews, because you know already what they think and what they say to themselves and within themselves. You already know what they think. You know what's the material that they're made of, and so you're not necessarily there. So that's a lot of time that you're just like I'm nothing. Like I can die and nobody here will care at all. Like you feel just like so alone a lot of times, because you don't necessarily feel belong to any kind of group, really. And also like when you sit at like family dinners, family holidays, and they're talking about the hostages, or about Iran, or about how brutal Hamas using human shields, and like part of you just want to like scream. You want to like scream, get me out of this nightmare. Yeah.
My name is Shashtin. I come out to the protest that they have the procedure from the left. I have gone to a few protests that they came with the Israeli flags and all that, but it made me sick because it's like some really dissonance that if you will fight for justice and you come with a symbol that represents the racism, which is actually the Israeli mainstream opinion to that the Jews will have the superiority, and they come with the Israeli flag represent this opinion, and I wish Israel would have a flag that everybody could associate with. I can't, and if there are demonstrations that they come with hundreds of flags, I don't go there even if I agree with some of the subjects that they are protesting about. But I cannot. So there are things I cannot stand here.
Do you see any changes happening in the next 5 years for the Zionist state?
Well, hard to say because here things can change from one day to the other, and I don't know. I really don't know what thing. Sometimes I blame myself why I'm staying here. That's why I feel obliged to at least do as much as I can to try to change things here or influence on changing opinions, and that to be more accepting all the different directions of people.
Yeah.
I'm an anti-racist at all. I don't want that people should know about racism.
So generally, Smol Haifa is not in favor of participating in activities or even negotiating with groups like Standing Together or like I don't know, any other liberal Zionist groups of a kind, because in their core they want to preserve the Zionist state. They want to preserve the Jewish supremacy, and a lot of these groups, even if they call themselves Arab Jewish organization, a lot of times they are just mostly Jewish organizations with some few Arabs that they like to present to the camera. And those Jews a lot of time are not willing to give up their Jewish privileges for an actual change. So they use like washed up words, like they don't say genocide, they say war, they say coexistence, like such beautiful words, coexistence, 2 states to 2 nations, and you know, we can live together. Like, no, we can't live together if the Jews will keep acting like that. Coexistence will happen once the Zionist state will collapse, but they imagine in their minds that only if the Palestinians will change, if they'll like a bit give up their national ambitions, be maybe a little less loud, then everything will be okay. Like, the Jews doesn't have to do anything to themselves. No, they'll keep having their own Jewish privileges. It's the Palestinians are the problems. That's the core of it, and like their coexistence is a coexistence that I can support, because it's a coexistence between settlers and oppressed, and it's just not possible. It's delusional. That's why we're against them, because they do more damage than good. They do it like there's some like some kind of balance between Jews and Palestinians, like it's a common struggle of both of the groups, and it's just not. And these organizations, those liberal organizations, the Zionist organizations, are not willing to actually say those things. It's a very harsh truth that they're not willing to say it out loud. The funny thing is, it's that like every like few years there's like a new organization which is like trendy and hip, like, and all the time they think that they'll be like, they bring the change, they're new, they're revolutionary. Why are they stuck? I don't think that they stuck. I don't think I'll use the word stuck. I think they choose to recycle the same slogans over and over again in attempt to change how Jews think, that maybe Jews will be like, wait, maybe I don't want to be the superior race, but that's not how it goes. Like, the change will not come from the Jews in the first place. So to put all your efforts in trying to change the Jews and to convince them that Palestinians are human beings is false. It's completely delusional. It's brainwashed system. You know, there's a brainwashed system of like you know, the regular fascism that you see in the streets, and then there's this kind of people who are just not willing to let go of this delusion of what they call coexistence. They're not stuck, they're just in their own way, which is wrong. For me, I think a lot of time I use Judaism as more of like a commercial tool to journalists for articles and stuff like that. I use that. They care about that because it's so irregular here. Because my mother is a Jew, my father is a Jew, my parents see me as a Jew, the state sees me as a Jew, but I find the state illegitimate. So I many times don't necessarily introduce myself as actually Jewish, because I don't feel Jewish. I've never fasted during Yom Kippur. I don't pray. I think that Israel took Judaism and made it something very very cynical, very evil, and I don't want to take a part of it. I don't want to take a part of Israel, and I don't want to take a part of this cult, this nationality that they built, which is the Israeli Judaism, pretty much. So I don't call myself Jew. I call myself, I think, more Israeli than Jews, because, you know, I grew up in something that I once called Israel during all my childhood, because my first language is Hebrew. So it's better for me to call myself Israeli. It's more authentic to me to call myself Israeli than actual Jew. And to me, to be an anti-Zionist Jew specifically means that we must take our privilege, I'll speak to myself, my privilege, and use it against it, actually, to take what I have, not because I want it, but because the state wants me to be superior, and actually to use those advantages against the state itself and against the people that support this state and its actions. And I think that as an anti-Zionist Jew, I have this like I don't know, maybe a push, maybe a drive to like always like a lot of time to like prove that I'm not like the other Jews. I'm not like them. So there's like this like burden, like, because I don't see myself as Jews, but Jews see me as Jews, as Palestinians sees me as Jews. But I call all my fellow anti-Zionist Jews to do the same and to just let go of your fake Judaism and just stop calling yourself Jew, because you're not. That's what the state wants. I don't really understand how people who call themselves anti-Zionist Jews and still choose to walk around with Magen David as like a spiritual thing, like, because for most of the Palestinians it's not that easy, it's not that innocent anymore. And because I am an anti-Zionist Jew and I do what I do not for myself but for, I don't know, for all of us in a way, but for all of us it's also for the Palestinians, because I see Palestinians as comrades, as because that's their struggle. I choose to leave this Nazi symbol behind me in the past. That's how they are, all right? Jews became Nazis. It's ironic, but it's true, because even though it didn't begin as a symbol of evil, kind of like the swastika itself, by the way, and Jews themselves made it so it will be a Nazi symbol by applying it to everywhere around them and everywhere around Palestinians, to spite them, to make them feel unworthy or annoyed or something like that. They actually do that to make sure that Palestinians will know this is our state, this is the Jewish state. So for me, I can't really see anything Jewish and just say, yeah, that's just an innocent religious symbol. No, it became something much greater than that, and you can give it to Israel, that helped make Judaism the new wave of modern Nazism. You go to the West Bank, to villages who are being threatened on a daily basis by Jews, and you see everywhere Israeli flags and Magen David. So, and you see that everywhere, like all those people that comes with like those necklaces of Israel, like everywhere you see this nationality, the Israeli nationality or the new Jewish nationality. It's to show power and strength and to threaten Palestinians people. So for me, that shows you that it's a Nazi symbol. That's Nazism. A lot of people like say that Judaism and Zionism are not the same thing, and you can't blame Jews for the crimes of Zionists, and it's partially true, but you can't just ignore the fact that like the great majority of Jews actually do support Israel in any kind of way. So to say Zionism is not Judaism and Judaism is not Zionism, it's a great propaganda material, but it's just not true, because Zionism is the fault of Jews, alright? Nobody is to blame of the way people started to think of Jewish symbols, other than Jewish people themselves that are using that to show their Nazi ideology. I see this protest in the first hand to show Palestinians that there are people who are raising their voice with them, not instead of them, but with them. And I want to show the Nazis that there are people who doesn't think like them, because I was in their place. I know it's how easy it is and how comfortable it is to just like think like the whole world is against you, and like everyone around you is like thinking the same as you, and nobody will ever correct you. So for me, it's like also important to show Nazis that there are people other than themselves, and I also do that to make the lives of law enforcement officers harder. Um, I want us not to give up the right to raise our voice, to demonstrate shouldn't be taken so easily. Um, it's almost like obvious to people here that it's okay when the state is telling people when it's okay to demonstrate or not. And I want the law enforcement to fucking know that I'm here to stay. Like, I'll find a reason to protest, right? Whether they like it or not. I want him to be like, I know, I want to say ashamed at first, but I don't think it's the right word because they're not ashamed. They'll never be ashamed. I want him to be exhausted. I think I gained along the way a lot of very trustworthy comrades, and I think you can't underestimate that. Like the people you meet along the way, who when you're like all alone a lot of times, like in the university or at work or with your family, and you feel like you're the crazy one, yeah. So like you have this community, no matter how fucked up and small it is, you have the community of equally crazy people like you who reassure each other that we're not crazy. They're the crazy one. It's important for people to be out in the streets with signs and with shouts against Zionism and against the genocide. Jewish anti-Zionists see us outside and they want to join us because they also want to feel like they do something, even if it's something as little as a protest in Haifa in some street and no one ever heard of. It's important. There's something really, really powerful about voicing our opinion and our voice, which is greatly not popular here. It's important to feel a part of something. It makes you feel seen, and it helps you feel sane. And the future of it, it's hard to tell. I don't know. Every few months we gather in the meetings and we try to like think about this concept of a future, any kind of future, and I don't have any good answer. I don't think of my own future right now, and I don't think of the future of Smol Haifa right now or the protests that we do. We just try to live day by day in solidarity with the people of Gaza and with all Palestinians of the world. We don't have a future. I don't know what's the future. I don't think of my future.